I was doing pharmaceuticals and I had chronic pain. And being in pharmaceuticals, I went to doctors and they just gave me more pills. And more pills. And more pills. And when they can't fix you, they get this look on their face like, oh, she's reminding me I don't know how to do my job very well. And they kind of don't want to talk to you anymore. And I even had one doctor suggest that I get Botox in my back and my neck. And I'm like, isn't my neck what holds my head up? How can you kill that? And he's like, well, if you don't do that, I'm not going to work with you anymore because that's my suggestion. So what happened, I was going to a pain medicine doctor, and she put me on medication. She put me on Xanax and Oxycontin together, and I passed out when I was driving. And it was up in Colorado. I hit one of those little poles along the side of the road. And that was kind of a come to Jesus moment, like, you need to be doing something else, or this is going to kill you. So I decided I was just going to do anything and wait until after it happened to judge it. So I did acupuncture, I saw a kahuna, I did Rolfing, seancing, past life regression, and I ended up taking a class in mediumship with Doreen Virtue because Doreen was a good energy, and I wanted to be around her, and that was the only class she was teaching. And I thought in the 5 days I would learn to meditate. I had no desire to learn to be a medium, nor did I think that was going to happen on that weekend. The first 5 minutes, she said, go inside, see who's coming forward, and ask your guides to get your ego to stand on the way. And I'm like, ego? Guides? Somebody coming forward? I thought we'd do this 4 days from now. And I got a picture of Tom Selleck as Magnum walking on the beach. I knew the episode. And they were playing a John Denver song, sometimes you fly like an eagle, sometimes you're down on the ground. And at the end of it, when Tom Selleck turned around, it wasn't Tom Selleck. It was some other guy. And he looks at me, he goes, my name's Jim. So I thought, this is great. At least I have something to share when everybody goes around. Not knowing anything more. And I stood up and I said, well, I have this Jim guy coming through. And this woman stood up and she's like, that's my dad. And I mentioned the John Denver song, and she goes, that's my favorite song. That's because I don't ground. And then after she said that, I blurted out, he says hi to Jessica and Sarah. And she goes, those are his grandkids. And I was like, holy fucking shit. And I swore more that weekend than I have had in a long time. So we're going to talk about taking a leap in business and a faith within your business. There's a book by Guy Hendricks, a guy I really love, that this is the cover, Taking a Big Leap. And he talks about just working in your passion. And that can be a really small area. Unfortunately, a lot of us, this is what we feel is going on instead. So we need to not have that scenario happen. Do you guys feel like you've got your purpose defined? Because I've got information on purpose, and I'll go through it really fast if you feel like that is an issue for you. The big thing with defining your purpose is God gives you energy, and it's luscious, and you're in flow, and everything just seems to come if you're on purpose. So that's the big deal about being on purpose. This is kind of what I'm going to be going through. You decide what you want to manifest for that purpose. Manifesting is your gift to the universe. This will come up later. And creating in present time is where you're in your most power. And write your business plan with universal law so that it works and it flows and you're not kicking yourself in the butt with it. One of the other things with women, we have to trust our intuition. When I had that moment with Doreen Virtue, and I started hearing spirit guides shortly after that too, and I realized I had heard them before. I just thought they were another aspect of myself that I didn't trust. And so it was identifying where the voices, because we have the voices of who we were as children in us, And we have the voices of our mom and our dad and probably some high school teacher that said you're never going to amount to anything. And so some of those voices need to sit down and shut up. And your kids need to never have the keys to the car or the checkbook again. They need to, you're the adult. And the universe supports us. If you let go of the outcome, something more than what you want will come your way in abundance. So purpose, we're going to go through this a little fast. This is Sedona. I live in Arizona, so I thought I'd have a Sedona picture. This is what I just said. If you're in your purpose, abundance is naturally attracted to you. Your purpose isn't a fortune cookie. Purpose is the number one question I get from people, and they want it to be like, you're going to be an engineer, you're going to be a dentist. And what God does is he gives you talents and passions and says, surprise me. If he didn't do this, there would be no Walt Disney, because he created something new, that he created something that wasn't known before he brought it into being. There would be no Albert Einstein. He took us to a place where the world is now, but wasn't before he was in it. And Bill Gates with the personal computer and everything, he might be an engineer, but nothing more than that. So the universe gives us passions and says, surprise me. What you do with your talents and passions is your gift to the universe. My job, my purpose is I'm to be a messenger. I can make that as small as I want by just talking to one-on-one with clients, or I can make it as big as I want by going on TV and doing speakings and everything else, writing a book. That is how I manifest it. So the big thing is to stay in integrity to purpose, and then how you manifest it grows. This is one of my favorite quotes by Richard Bach. You're never given a wish without also being given the power to make it come true. And this is true. Always. And I just find it truly remarkable to work with people and see what their wishes are and how they manifest them. Because there is magic to the universe, and it can be so much more easy than we think it is. If you guys have any questions at any time or you're bored, tell me. The universe creates what we verbalize. If you write something down, it manifests faster. Words have power. In the beginning of the Bible, it says, in the beginning there was the Word. And that's the way things go. It also happens if you have voices in your head that are negative and they are given words, they're more powerful. One of the things I did with my class, Creating Your Heart's Desire, is I had everybody come with the songs that go through their head and write some of the lyrics. And one guy came in with Tennessee Ernie Ford's 17 Tons. What do you get another day older and deeper in debt?
Oh my God.
And cancel that for me. And so there's stuff out there that is just horrible that people are walking around with in their heads every day. And I had In Heaven There Is No Beer, which is like a polka from Wisconsin. And I could not get rid of that song. So I changed it to In Heaven There Is No Fear. And that really supports me now. And so I don't sing it out loud a lot, but I have it. The other thing, I like working with channeled beings because I channel. And there's a channeled being called Abraham that the Hicks have brought his work into existence. And what Abraham says is something only needs to be desired for 17 seconds by a human for it to come into being. But the problem is we don't want to be disappointed. So if we think about it, and then, well, maybe it's not coming, we cancel it. And there's all this stuff circling the earth that people have ordered, and then they back out on. Because most people would rather say, oh, no, I didn't really want that, than to really want it and be disappointed. And so I'm bringing that up because persistence and holding to what you want is huge. I've always loved this quote, too. Every client I work with, by the way, animals things are pretty basic. Like, you can talk to them on the other side, or you can solve their problems. And that takes so much. And usually animal problems have something to do with the people. And so many people, it's like, well, if you can solve the problems my dogs have, I can trust you with my life. And so we always end up going into business stuff when we're talking about, and I hate doing love life because people don't want to hear what's going to happen with their love life. They want to hear what they want to happen is going to happen. And if you tell them what they want to happen isn't going to happen, they just keep pestering me till you say, okay, it might happen. You know, and I'm just so sick of that because it's like, you're paying me, and why are you doing that? You know, and so what I see with people, so businesses I like to work with because it's clean. You're not as attached to it, so you can kind of have more space to really change and really grow. And with every one of those, what I see, you have to take a leap of faith. And you will build your wings on the way down. The universe supports us so much farther than we know. And part of it is testing that. Hi.
Sorry, we're late.
We're lucky you joined.
No, thank you.
Only you know what's on your path and what's right for you. One of the things that happens is you decide, oh, I'm going to take this new job. And then you talk to everybody you know. And they're like, oh, I don't think you should take that new job. Well, you know, you got retirement where you're at, and you have this and that. And 90% of the time, people, when you ask them, they will come back at you with their fear. And so why are you asking them? Because they're not you. And we discount ourselves and what is inside. And another thing that I had to go on the path for was I was raised in the scientific community. So everything for 30 years, you had to have 15 double-blind studies to prove something. And then all of a sudden, I'm hearing angels, and they're saying, well, you know, we're right, and just follow us. And so I'm like trying to find all these, you know, mediums and everything else to tell me what way to go and what to do. And I saw James Bach Prague, and I had a question, and he's like, that's an advanced level question, and this is a beginning class, I'm not going to answer it. And I spent the morning after that crying, because I knew there wasn't anybody in human form that had the answers I needed. And then I went inside and got the answers from my guides. And now I'm rock solid with that, because I know I have that connection with them, and we've built up a muscle that we trust each other. And that's the best thing to have, because it's not going to be swayed by other people's emotions and other people's vendettas or plans that they have for you. That's the best thing. And I know we could go on with, I know all you have stories on other people's plans for you. If you live within your purpose, you're supported by the universe, and you don't lose energy, which is huge. Any questions on that? Owning your own power. I like affirmations. One of my affirmations is, I'm happy no matter where I am or who I'm with. What I found with this stuff is if you say it enough, it just becomes truth. You know, in the Bible, it says, in the beginning there was the Word. And that's how powerful the word is. It created the world. So there's power in word. And then when you put a feeling with the word, that's when magic happens. To create, you need to be in present time. That's the only place the power is. If you're thinking about way out there, you're not creating now. And if you're thinking about what happened in the past, you're giving your energy to the past. And so the present time is where you want to be. And know that you can change everything. The thing I love about the guides is they say the future's already written, and you can change everything about it. And we do not have a vocabulary in this world to understand how that can be true. So you just have to know it. This is a painting I have up in my house, and it's the alphabet on butterfly wings. And so on days I'm having setbacks, I look at this and I think, everything is possible. This man spent 24 years and went to 30 countries going around and getting the alphabet. off of butterfly wings. And I never would have thought that could have been done. So, if you got a passion, you can do it. The other thing that comes up with staying in present time is you can't be a victim. And victim means basically, well, the economy line is a victim line. I can't have a successful business because of the economy. Well, that's just a factor. That's an outside factor you have no control over. And you always run your own domain, that you do what you need to do regardless of the outside factors. And the universe will still support you. So there's people that have made a lot of money in the bad economy. And dog and cat stuff is growing at a rapid pace. So we're very fortunate. But you need to there's no situation you can't change. The victim thing, do you understand? Because you'll get people like this too. The other thing that the guys want to bring up for you guys is there'll be people, some of us make a lot of energy, and some of us have people that drain a lot of energy from us. Because I get you guys are all energy makers in here. And so what I say is if somebody is feeding on my energy, make it poisonous to them. Because that gets them off of me without having a verbal discussion. And you need your energy for your life and your business. You don't need to have your energy going to an employee or a friend that's next door that is stuck in their own little mud hole and very happy about that. So that's another thing about the victim role is you get people, when they're in a victim role, it's a no power role, and the only way they can move forward is to claim their power. And a lot of them don't want to do that. You know, no matter what the economy is doing, you have a different situation. When you reach a spot, and I have these, that you're hitting your head against the wall and you don't know what to do, the magic question is, what am I supposed to be learning here? If you get the answer to that, you get out of the room. And that's going to keep happening until you figure out what you're supposed to learn. Initially, when I first started, I have clients that they would have this big mess, and I'd psychically, energetically clean everything up for them. And then a month later, they'd come back, and they'd have made a big mess again, almost as big as the one they had before. And it's like, how did you do that? You know? And I realized it wasn't time for me to take it away from them yet, because they hadn't learned what they needed to know from that situation. So they had to have it come back. So that's how you get out of that room. I have books by Myss. She's a medical intuitive, and she has a story about how she was driving through LA during the riots. And she was at a stoplight, and she saw the people in the car behind her being pulled out of the car and beaten, and the people in the car in front of her being pulled out of the car and beaten. And she immediately thought, this has nothing to do with me, and drove straight through it unscathed. And if you don't connect with the energy, if you keep your integrity, it doesn't affect you. And that's one of the things to think, is to look at a situation. Does this have anything to do with me? Am I supposed to be involved in this? And it's real. A lot of us that are givers and are people, we think we're supposed to be involved with everything. And so it's making that choice to hold back. And again, what's my purpose? Does this fit in with my purpose? No? Well, then I need to just drive by. Intuition, do you listen to your gut? Apple computers have a full-time psychic on the payroll. They have since like the second year. They listen to intuitive information on business, and they do very well. Warren Buffett listens to intuitive information, and he calls it his gut. I think as women, a lot of time our voice is discounted and our gut feelings are discounted. And so that's one of the big steps when you start working with this type of stuff. What is my gut feeling? I actually went back and realized I had a gut feeling that was always right. And then another voice would come in, like the voice of my dad or the voice of my mom, and say, well, that's just stupid, you know. But if you can get in touch with that core that's always right, it's like, wow, I have that. I've just been ignoring it all these years. And the other thing I would do is you have it, and then if you ignore it and things go wrong, you think, oh man, I should have done that. So you beat yourself up both ways. And so it's more doing what it is you really know you should do, and then if it doesn't turn out right, well, this is something else I'm supposed to do. What's forward after that? Jean Dixon, the psychic, read for 5 sitting presidents. And this blew my mind. I love the cat by her, by the way. I think it's so cool. This blew my mind. She would in with her crystal ball. I don't know any psychic today that has a crystal ball, but she would carry her crystal ball in a bowling bag. And not meet with the wives, meet with the presidents. So the presidents are very busy, and they thought it was worthwhile. Emotion, we're human, and so emotion is a key to action. If there's something you feel passionate about, the love of that, there's a book by Greg Braden called The Lost Mode of Prayer. And he says if you take words and add love, that's how you create. That's how you manifest what you want immediately. He has a story of an Indian medicine man in Arizona that there hadn't been rain in like a year. And the guy went out to the sacred ground and danced and thought about how he loved rain and how he loved the feel of rain on his face and how the grass grew and how everything was great, and then celebrated that. And then it came. So that's one of the ways to manifest that we have as humans. I put this other one in there, there can't be one healthy person in a relationship, because a lot of people do projection. I'm not saying you guys do, but projection is basically saying it's all your fault. And I'm blameless and I don't have to change myself at all. And the reality is, it's always both people. If you stay with that person, some of it's your fault, because there can't be one healthy person in a relationship. There's either too healthy or no healthy. So, and I know those of you, how many people work with employees? Well, we work with clients too, so that's the same thing. The love and the passion, again, I said, is what attracts the energy to you. When you're writing affirmations and you're making statements in your head, one of the things that happens is the universe works in vibration. So there's no not the vibration of something. It's like you talk to a dog and you tell a dog to sit and they sit. You tell a dog don't sit and they just hear sit and they still sit. And that's kind of the way heaven works with vibration. There's the vibration of something, there's no not the vibration of that thing. So if you say, don't sit, that still happens. If you say, I don't want to be afraid, well, you're getting, I'm afraid. That's the way that always works. So that's one big reason why people affirmations don't work. They don't have the wording right. They also have to be in present time, which means you take out the words want, desire. It's like, I can't tell you how many people I have that say, I want to hear my angels. And what happens immediately is I know they're never going to hear their angels, because they don't say, I hear my angels, which is what I did. They say, I want to hear my angels. And you can feel that wanting. It's keeping them stuck. So give those words their walking papers and consciously move into owning your power. I know this was supposed to be funny. This is my cat. When I do sessions for clients that have businesses, a lot of them have employees that aren't the best. I had a pet store in LA that her rent was $8,000 a month. She was in one of those L-shaped shopping centers where they had like a Safeway on the end, and the Safeway moved out and Whole Foods was moving in. And this was when the economy tanked, and she wanted to stay open long enough for the Whole Foods to come back, because she knew her business was going to go up a lot then. And so I looked at her business and I looked at what was going on. And believe it or not, she had this guy that was kind of a creep working for her. And he was hitting on the women and making like lewd comments and being like, not sinister, but just being inappropriate. And she knew it. And I'm like, that's where you're losing revenue. It has nothing to do with the economy. It has to do with this guy that women don't want to talk to. And she fired him, and her sales went up immediately that month back to what they were before. And we don't want to look at employees sometimes. I've got one guy that owns a store that all his employees are like codependent with him. It's like, well, if I fire them, where they're going to go? They need a job. That's not serving either of you. And I know it's not easy, but you're firing them maybe the leap they need to get into what they're supposed to do. Because obviously they're not in integrity with their purpose. So, luckily for Spike, he doesn't get paid much.
I just wanted to add into that.
Okay.
For us, like, I don't have employees.
Uh-huh.
But, if you take it to the extended team that you work with,
Yeah.
whether it's partners or contractors or subcontractors, people that are helping you, like techie people or, service people that are helping you do your business, I find myself sometimes making too many excuses for people that aren't really delivering, and you end up paying a price for it, and it's like you don't want to be the bad person.
Right. And I think as
know.
women, we're more accommodating.
Yeah, so you should make note when you're talking to,
Good
it's not
point.
just employees,
Yeah.
it's a whole extended thing that
Yeah.
can drag you down if you don't.
And this, I brought up family, because some people will be very much in integrity with everybody except their family. And what I say to you then is back to, what do you need to learn here? What do you need to work out with this family member so you can move forward and be in integrity? This, again, with our feelings, if you're operating out of guilt, it's this big neon sign that you're in dysfunction. That's the big thing about guilt. It lets you know that you're operating out of integrity. I get clients to apply The Work by Katie Byron. It's just these 4 questions. Somebody said, well, I'll never do that. It's like, is that really true? Like a good example of that is people saying, oh, I don't have any money. Is that really true? No, they've got some money. Is it affecting how you are to, no. But what they're doing by saying, I don't have any money, cancel that for me. They're calling in the energy of having no money. And they're not looking for money, because they're not saying, I'm abundant, I have money everywhere, where you would see money much more easily. They're calling in the opposite. And so by doing these 4 questions, you can look at that and question some of your old beliefs. You guys got these? Ram Dass is one of the guys I really like to work with, and he said, be here now. And what I found, if we let go of our past beliefs that we think are facts, that are actually opinions. A lot of stuff we learn from our parents are actually opinions, they're not facts. We will get a different outcome. When I work with people, and this is totally me, I haven't seen it anywhere else. Like, I had a guy that had a business that he was making T-shirts for different venues and stuff. And he wanted to go and do the national shows with selling T-shirts and everything. And I actually saw him like talking to these women that were modeling T-shirts and him having this big, vibrant life in that. But he also had this addiction to this girl that treated him really shitty, that was his girlfriend. And he'd say he'd want to leave her, but then he never would. And he never walked into the room where he was with these wonderful, healthy people having this $1 million business selling these T-shirts. And that's where I see it for people when I do spirit guide readings. It's like there could be 2, 3, 4 futures down your hallway. The one you walk into is the one you get. And everything is set already in future and totally changeable both at the same time. And I don't understand that, but it is. So you can look, and I get this with dating too. Like, I have people call me and they're like, should I be dating Sam? And dating. And a lot of times I'll get a yes, no. And the guides will say, well, he's good for you now, but he likes to gamble. And if he and he kind of enjoys it sometimes, and if he gets to enjoy it too much, he's going to be addicted, and then he's not a good match for you. But right now, he's okay. So that kind of stuff, you see it coming down. It's like the dice being rolled. Basically, with Course in Miracles, they say everything is either love or fear. So it's one direction or the other. And if you're in fear, you're projecting fear. You're not in love. A problem that you're afraid of cannot be solved out of fear. It has to be solved out of love. Because all you're doing is creating more fear. And I've worked with this concept for a long time, and I really see it now. And one of the things I do is I just say, I choose love. Because that's a real simple thing to do. If you say, I choose love, fear has to leave the room. It's not the boss of you. You choose love. This is a quote that I learned in high school, and the last couple of years, my guides have been messaging. They bring this up to me almost every day. Be like a bird, resting on a branch, yet feels it gives sway. Yet sings, knowing that he has wings. And what that means is your whole foundation could go out from under you. You're going to be okay, because you have the wings to fly away. So in summary, define your purpose, be bold, decide how you're going to manifest your purpose, do it and create it in present time, owning your power, follow universal law so that you're not getting what you don't want, which basically means I just did double negatives there, and try to get double negatives out of your vocabulary. Let go of the outcome. That's not your concern. How it happens isn't your concern. I have really good relationship with my guides now. And I was looking through an art magazine, and I saw a gallery in a magazine that I was like, wow, my work would fit there. I want to be in that gallery. And it was in Phoenix. And then that weekend, I was doing an art fair in Tucson. And the woman that owned the gallery in Phoenix walked through and said, wow, I really love your work. Will you be in my gallery? And that was all it took. And so this kind of SEO with your guides is amazing. I trained with a kahuna, and she says she doesn't advertise ever. And her whole thing is that dead people know everyone. And it's true. And your guides know a lot of other guides, and they know what you need and what other people need. And so they match people together that need to be together, which I hope is that you guys know that's why we're all in this room. The universe supports you. You are so much more than you can see. More brilliant, more courageous, more beautiful, and more loved. The number one message I get from guides to give to people, they always ask, do you know how much you're loved? Because they love you so much on the other side and want to see you succeed. And we have 30 to 40 guides, each of us, that are just dedicated to us. And you can call in special teams. I called in a sleep angel. And so I have an angel that watches me when I go to sleep. And I fall asleep immediately. It's better than any sleeping pill I ever took. And why I didn't do that 10 years ago, I didn't think of it. So know that you're blessed. And know that you're on a path that's of your own choosing.